For those of you that aren't familiar with our channel, if this is the first time you've seen one of our videos, we're in Southeast Ohio. We have 175 acres that we manage for wildlife. We've got 3 John Deere tractors. We've got a 1025R, a 2032R, a 4052R. We've got a couple Polaris side-by-sides. We've got a Wood Miser sawmill. We hunt, fish, trap, pretty much anything outdoors. So if you're into outdoor activities and those sound like interesting things to you, check out our channel because we've got a lot of content. What I'm going to talk about today is provide some tips on selling a tractor. So as a individual owner, if you want to sell your tractor, maybe you're upgrading, maybe you don't need it, give you some tips on how to get the most out of your tractor. If you're looking to buy, we've got a whole buyer's guide on our website that goes through all the attachments and decisions and things you need to think about when you're buying. So we've got that and a lot of tips on buying from a dealer, so how to negotiate with them. Today I'm going to be focused on selling and selling as an individual, but I'm also going to take the information I have here, flip it upside down, and talk about how to buy from an individual versus a dealer, because it's a very different situation than when you buy from a dealer. So anyway, back to selling your tractor. A lot of these things may be common sense. Unfortunately, we're in a world full of people with not a lot of common sense sometimes. And oftentimes what we think is common sense is just something that slipped my mind as I was preparing to sell my tractor. So I thought I'd throw some ideas together for you. First item I've got, and this is probably seems really obvious, but get your tractor good and clean. A clean tractor is a clear indicator that someone has taken good care of it. Excuse me. I bought a number of things in the past. I bought a small four-wheeler for my son years ago, and actually it was for my daughter. I bought it, I saw pictures of it online, and the thing that stood out for me was it was clean, but when I looked beyond it, the guy's garage was spotless, so I knew it was something that he had taken good care of. When I bought the 4052R, I went to buy this. The guy rolls the garage door open, and sitting in the middle of the garage is this tractor looking like it's in showroom condition. I could not believe it. The tires, he had put treatment on the tires so they were nice and black. He had gone through the bucket and spray painted it, so everything was nice and green. This thing didn't have a speck of dirt on it. I couldn't believe how clean it was for a 2-year-old tractor. Kind of a funny thing happened when I came home. I had to take the drawbar off of it, and when I undid the drawbar and pulled it off, a piece of dirt fell out of it. And I joked with Josh that I found the spot where the dirt was. That was the only spot of dirt I found out of it. So having that tractor clean is going to help you get more money out of it. A dirty tractor, and you can look at mine, it's dirty, is not necessarily a sign that somebody doesn't take care of it. It may be that it's a work tractor and it gets dirty. We go through a mud hole all the time up here to get back to our property, and we don't have a great place for washing the tractors. So they still get basic maintenance and they still get taken care of. We're not abusing these things. So a dirty tractor won't be as appealing. Doesn't necessarily mean it wasn't taken care of, but a clean tractor, you can be pretty certain that if that guy is shining up the tractor, he's also taking care of fluids and all the maintenance on it. So first thing, make sure you got a good clean tractor. Next up, think about what your asking price is going to be. And I see people ask all the time on Facebook groups, does this seem like a good price? How much should I ask for my tractor? There are so many variables as to what is a good price for your tractor. Take a look at your local market and see what's available in terms of used tractors. So go on to Google and Google your tractor and model. Used John Deere 1025R, 2018 1025R. Look them up, see what kind of prices you're finding. Ultimately, your price has to be something that you're comfortable with. If the tractor's paid off, that may be a different number than if you owe money on it. Obviously, if you owe money on it, most people want to make sure they can pay the tractor off when they sell it. So the price you're going to ask is going to be very dependent on what you're going to feel good about, what you have to have out of it. But a couple tips that I would have on that, there's a couple approaches to how you price your tractor. You'll see people price a tractor and say, $27,000 firm. You can assume that person might be willing to negotiate a little bit, but they feel like they've given you a good price and they're not going to negotiate a lot. So you can take that position that I'm going to be real firm on my price and I don't want to negotiate. That may scare some people off. Other people might price it higher and say, $30,000 or best offer, $30,000, willing to negotiate. I prefer to ask for more and just throw the number out there. I don't say anything. $30,000. That's my price. I assume people are going to negotiate, and I know that negotiation is part of the deal, and it makes people feel like they're getting a good deal if they've gotten something off of it. So how you set the price, look at what's going on in the market, look at the condition of your tractor, and price it with the thought of I'm going to negotiate or I'm not going to negotiate. So take a look at that. And I've got a bunch of notes here so I don't forget stuff. So that's what I would say about pricing. Next thing, as you're getting the tractor ready, look at doing the required maintenance on it. So if it's coming up on and I'm just going to throw numbers out, a 200-hour maintenance, look at doing that. So when somebody comes to look at it, you can tell them, hey, I just did the 200-hour maintenance, so you're not going to have to worry about that. Maybe you can do it. Maybe the dealer needs to do it. Have receipts available so you can show, here's where I bought the stuff to do it myself and where I've done the maintenance over the years. Or if you've had the dealer do it, have receipts to show that you've done that maintenance. By doing that maintenance, a couple things you can avoid. If somebody pops the hood and opens up the air filter and sees a dirty air filter, they're going to wonder how well you maintained it. So by having a new air filter in it, that just shows that, hey, this thing has been maintained. Look how clean that thing is. Just psychologically, I guess, it gives people an indication of how well you've taken care of the tractor. Repair things that will add value. If you've got little things that you can fix that someone might use as a negotiation tactic, fix them. If the little caps, I'll snap a picture of them here. If the little caps on your hydraulic hoses are gone, you can pick those up cheap, slap some new ones back on there, everything's on there and none of them are missing. If you've got maybe a hole in your seat, you can look at replacing the seat. I don't know what one costs. If an armrest, now there's an easy one. Armrest is damaged. That bolts on, replace the armrest. If your lights are damaged, look at fixing or repairing lights. You want everything to work. Fix the things that are inexpensive so that someone doesn't come in and go, oh, this is damaged and this is damaged and this is damaged. Obviously, if you've got something bigger, if you've got a crack in the hood, replacing that hood is going to be expensive. It may not make sense to replace it, but those are things you should be looking at. Next up, as you think about, once you list the tractor, a couple things are going to happen depending on how you list it. My guess is in this day and age it's going to be on Craigslist, it's going to be on Facebook Marketplace, it's going to be on an electronic media where people can reach out to you via email, text, or phone. One of the things I notice when you throw something out onto some of those electronic bulletin boards, the first thing you start getting is fraud emails. And just be aware of fraud, and what I do, I just ignore it. If I think it's fraudulent, I ignore it. Don't respond back to the person, don't engage the person, just completely ignore it. The other person that's going to start sending you stuff, and this may be the same person that's doing fraud, but you'll get people that want to lowball you. So, hey, the price is $30,000, and they can, would you take 24? That person doesn't get a response out of me. They haven't taken the time to look at the tractor. They're wasting my time. They're looking for a lowball deal, and frankly, I'm just not going to give that person the time of day. If they're serious, they can ask to come see the tractor. And that's one of the things that I insist on before I start negotiating. If you want to negotiate, if you're serious about the tractor, if you're serious about buying whatever I have, you're going to come out and take a look at it, because you've got a couple pictures, you're going to want to come look at it. So don't negotiate via email, text, phone. Tell the person, hey, I'm happy to negotiate with you. I think you should come see the tractor first. When I bought this, that was the approach I took. I talked to the guy, we set a time, and I drove out to see it. But don't negotiate. You'll get emails, what's the least you would take? Don't respond to that. That falls into another tip for me, which is don't negotiate against yourself. You've already thrown a price out. The price is $30,000. This tractor is $30,000. if they open up their negotiation with, well, what's the least you'd take? $30,000. That's my asking price. Let them throw out the next offer. You've already made an offer. My offer is $30,000. So let them make the next offer. That's part of how negotiation works. You don't negotiate against yourself. So let them take that first step. As you're getting ready to show the tractor, one tactic you can take as a seller is make arrangements for multiple people to come either at the same time or one right after another. Now, it's oftentimes hard to tell somebody, hey, come on out at 2 o'clock, I've got someone looking at it at 1, because that 2 o'clock person is concerned they're going to waste their time. So, invite everybody out at 1. I got 3 people interested, come on out at 1. I don't have a whole lot of time today to show it, but if you want to come out. That does a couple things. One, it reduces the amount of negotiation that can happen, because there's 3 buyers, and as a buyer, I'm sitting there and I'm worried that I'm going to lose this item if I want it, because there's 2 other guys here ready to buy it. So I do that with my rentals sometimes. I have rental houses, and what I'll do is invite 2 or 3 potential renters at the same time, and every time I've done it, I've had a lease signed during that showing, because they're afraid if they leave, I like it, but I want to look at others, someone else is going to take it. So it creates a little pressure on the buyer if you've got multiple buyers there, and let them work against each other. So who knows, you might get get them into a little bit of a bidding war and get more than you were asking for. So schedule showings, have multiple people there at once. Think about what information you're going to share. Part of what you want to do, this should be a win-win transaction. You're looking to sell the tractor, get as much out of it as you can, and there's a reason you want to sell the tractor. That person's looking for a tractor, they want their best deal. Somewhere between you making as much as possible and them getting their best deal is a situation where you both feel good about the transaction. That's where you want to land. That the reality is, I want 30, I'd be happy at 28.5. And they would love to, they'd walk away feeling like they got a steal at 25. But you know what? At 28.5, they still feel pretty good about what they bought. So think about where that's at, and think about the information you're going to share. You want to establish a dialogue with the person, but you don't need to tell them everything. And when I say you don't need to tell them everything, when I bought this, as I'm talking to the guy, he says to me, I asked him, why are you selling? And he said, I'm trying to buy land. Well, as we talked more and more, what I found was not only was he trying to buy land, he was going the next day and needed the cash to be able to make an offer on some property. So he was a very motivated seller. Don't tell someone, I'm behind on my payments, I lost my job, my wife wants me to get rid of it. If someone's asking me, I'm looking to upgrade, if I can get a decent price out of this, I'm willing to sell it, but I'm not in a hurry, and if I can't get what I want, I'll just hang on to it. And that way, as a seller, I look like someone who, for the right price, I'll let it go, but I'm not desperate. And you don't want to appear desperate, because that's when you lose the upper hand on the sale. So, hey, if I can get what I want, I'm happy to sell it. But if not, I'm willing to just hang on to it for a while. Be honest, tell them, how did you use it? You don't have to go into a lot of detail, but let them know, hey, this has been a real workhorse for us. We use it for this on the farm. We use it for this. We use it for this. Been real happy with it. So, they're going to want to know, was this tractor big enough for you? Was it too big for you? Were there issues you had with it? You don't have to go into every issue you've ever had or everything you dislike about it. But you can tell them, one of the things I would have liked to had was this or this. But you don't have to tell them. You're not looking to take the motivation away from them. Just be honest with them. Other thing to have available is all the specs. If you did anything extra to the tractor when you bought it, it should be on the receipt that you're going to share. If it's not on the receipt, have a list that you can talk about. I know the guy that sold me this, he knew everything he had done. So he had had the tires filled. He put on, and I'm going to say this and I don't know the details of it, but a heavier duty loader on it that lifts higher. He wanted something that would actually lift high enough to dump into a dump truck. I don't honestly. He added some rear hydraulics. So there were a number of things he did, and as he told me about them, I was like, okay, this makes me feel good that I'm getting a good value. Not only am I getting, a list price tractor would cost this much, but he's added these additional features on. So have all the details of what you've done with the tractor or for the tractor. And attachments. Think about what you want to do with attachments. I see guys try to sell a tractor that they've got the tractor, they've got the loader, they've got the forks, and they've got 6 attachments. What I find with attachments are the attachments that I want and need are oftentimes very different than what others want and need. If you can bundle it up and sell it all together, that's great. But what you're looking for at that point is a buyer that has the money to buy all those attachments at the same time and needs the exact same attachments that you need. What you may run into is a situation where they need 4 of the 6 attachments, and your price with the additional attachments puts it out of the range for them. What you can do at that point, if you've bundled everything, as they start negotiating and saying, well, it's $30,000, would you take 27? I'll take 27, but I'm going to keep the tiller and I'll sell it separate. So you can take things out of the bundle. You can also take things out of the bundle for them if they feel like, hey, I really don't need that. All right, I'd be willing to knock $1,000 off if you didn't take the tiller. It gives you some room to negotiate. My advice would be have everything available as a package, but be prepared to let the tractor go with fewer attachments. And you may not, from a loader standpoint, you may not want to separate the forks from the loader or a grapple from the loader, but be willing to take some attachments out of the bundle and sell them separately at a later date. So those are some of the tips that I've got. I can't think of really anything else. You do another check here. Oh, last thing, think about having a bill of sale, all your books, all your receipts, everything, so that when you're done with the deal, you can hand everything over to the buyer. When you talk to the buyer and they're coming out, make sure when they come out, they understand what kind of payment you're expecting. That if they show up with a personal check for a $30,000 tractor, I'm probably not taking a personal check. So let them know that I either want cash or I need a bank check. When I bought this, I showed up with a bank check for basically I knew what I was willing to pay. I showed up with a bank check for a few $1,000s less than that, so that if I could get it for what I wanted, I had that check. But then I also had cash with me, and I had a check so that I could make up the difference. So I think I showed up with a check for $27,000. I wrote him a check for $3,000. And I picked the whole thing up for $30,000. He was comfortable with that, and the overall transaction worked real well. So those are my tips for selling your tractor. I guess my big point is don't undersell it, don't give it away. You got to feel good about the transaction when it's done, but there's a lot of things that go on in the sales process that you want to keep in mind. So I hope that was helpful. If you enjoyed the video, please hit the like button, share it with your friends, and subscribe. And as I mentioned at the beginning, we spend a lot of time outdoors. Our theme is outdoors is always in season, so get outside, enjoy the outdoors. Thanks.